Hey everyone, I'm John Kazarian with Accelevents, and I'm here at the Kiosks facility in Miami. I'm with Anthony. Anthony's going to take us through the different printer options that are available as you're getting ready for your event. So Anthony, I'll turn it over to you.
Cool. So first and foremost is the direct thermal badge printing, which is really the industry workhorse when it comes to a badge printing solution. Typically, you're going to see something like a Zebra ZD621, and they are going to print badges such as this, which is a direct thermal tear-resistant badge. This is one of the many options that you can choose. Again,
now, Anthony, just to be clear, this is a pre-printed badge that you'll be printing black and white on here.
Correct. So inside of each badge is a direct thermal coating, and before the badge is actually printed on site, you have all this beautiful artwork that's done by our production team.
And Anthony, these printers here, how are they connected? I see the router back here.
So each printer is connected via Ethernet cable, which you'll see back here, to the actual router itself. The router has its own network that each iPad is connected to.
This thing's kind of fancy. I'm going to open this up here.
Yeah, of course.
We've got multiple network connections available here. So
yeah, it uses a 4G and 5G antennas. And it works off of two different networks. It's actually intelligent enough to kind of flip-flop between those networks to get the highest and fastest bandwidth possible.
So if we're in a venue where we've got concrete walls, we've got a whole bunch of people that are on the networks or on the cellular, we're not concerned about.
Absolutely not. Like I mentioned, they are intelligent enough to kind of jump over to the fastest internet speed. But also as a different fail-safe, what we can also do is, if you have a hardline provided from the venue, you can kind of plug that in as well. It can work off of that. And in any case, if that venue's Wi-Fi were to drop, this will kick in and you will not lose your reg station.
In addition to that, Accelevents offers offline badge printing. So all of the information is going to be cached on the iPad that you're printing from anyway, but you always have last minute name changes, last minute registration. So ideally, you're going to have that Ethernet connection, and also ensures that all the devices on site and your different stations are in sync in real time.
Yeah. Do you want to move over to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. So we're gonna head over to the next set of printers. Now we're getting into the more sophisticated options, but along the way, you're seeing some of the boxes available for shipping these out. And Andy, if you just speak to the box option.
Accelevents regular box option is basically going to be one of these totes here with everything you need for your event. Starting actually coming back over here, this is everything in the Accelevents regular box option, which is basically a complete package coming, and it also comes with badge stock and lanyards, as well as 1 hour of virtual support on top of all of this equipment here. So anything that you need for your event success is included in one of these boxes. There is 2 different sizes based on your actual event. The first will be the regular, as I mentioned, and this is the large. The difference between the two is that the large comes with 4 iPads and 4 stands with 2 printers and 1 router. And of course, the regular comes with 2 printers, 2 stands, 2 iPads, and that 1 router as well.
Now, we generally suggest that somebody has a technician on site, but for those where maybe it's not in the budget or they are wanting to do this on their own, what's generally the process when you open up one of these boxes?
So there will be setup documents that are included in each one. Those setup documents are going to walk you through more or less how everything is set up. We also have our 365-day, 24/7 support team that can walk you through any of those challenges. But of course, one of the benefits here would also be that 1 hour of virtual support, where if there is anything that you're kind of struggling with or you don't understand, you can dedicate that 1 hour and we can walk you through that setup process as well.
And you've been on site at a bunch of our customer events.
Yes, I have.
Really take to get the iPad and printer set up?
I would say about an hour or so for something as simple as this.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so moving on to the Epson. So one of the bigger differences and sometimes challenges for customers is that they want a custom bar, for example, for their VIPs. And then maybe the staff have another bar there that's a different color. When you're talking about direct thermal badge printing, for example, all of these have to be pre-printed. So if you can imagine, you would need multiple different badge designs for each of those badge registration types. And that's where the Epson really flourishes, because it is a edge-to-edge on-site badge printing badge printer. So with Accelevents, you can create multiple different reg types, and each one of those reg types can have its own unique design. And with this printer, you can print them live. So you can have up to 100 different badges, all printing on demand with this device here.
One of the other common use cases we see for that color printing is people want to put headshots on badges. It's a great security option that you can do to make sure there's no pass packs at your event.
Another really awesome feature with this printer is I think it's probably the highest DPI or dots per inch that you can get on an on-site badge printer. This does 1200 versus the 203 on the Zebra. And this one here is the CC10L, which we'll talk about later. This one does about 300 dots per inch. So you get a very high quality print. And this is an F1 car. And you can see just how detailed this printer can actually get.
So again, if you're putting headshots on, DPI does matter. If you're talking about just black and white text, 200 DPI and the Zebra should be fine.
Yep.
But a lot of customers are also doing things like putting just maybe a colored dot or an icon to represent that somebody is a first-time attendee at the event. In that case, the DPI probably won't matter as much.
Absolutely.
Anthony, can you tell us about the ZC10L?
Yeah, the ZC10L is a plastic PVC card badge printer. It prints on demand in 300 dots per inch, all this beautiful color here. Typically, you would pre-print the back side of this badge and just print the front on demand. But again, if you do have a specific color or Pantone that you want to match, then what you would do is pre-print the front as well and just kind of keep some space for variable data that will be printing on site.
Now, there are some other advantages to pre-printing the color, right? It does speed up the printing process when you don't have to lay that much ink on site.
The printer is designed to run through each of those color ribbons, whether it's being pressed on the badge or not.
Okay, so now we know.
Yeah, now you know.
So Anthony, we were just talking about what printer makes the most sense for folks. And yeah, I liked how you position the plastic badge here as that sort of keepsake, the memory that somebody takes home from the event. Why would somebody pick one printer versus the other?
So if you're going for speed and something that's cost effective, you're going to want to go with that pre-printed stock on the Zebra printers. It is the fastest. You can print a badge in less than a second, really, and you're going to save a lot of money on that with that pre-printed badge stock. And then when we're coming over to something like this, again, I think the primary use case is when you have multiple badge designs. What's going to happen is you're going to need much less hardware, because if you think about it, you would need multiple different registration stations per badge, that stack of those badges. And with this here, you can have less hardware because you can print any badge type with this one device. And then coming over to the ZC10L, this is really the premier. So when you're really trying to wow, or the customers are trying to wow that attendee, this is the device that you would want to use.
Now, for somebody who knows that they're going to have different check-in lines for like general attendees, VIP, press, staff, in that case, they could preload the pre-printed stock into the Zebra here, because they're going to have different lines. They won't need that additional hardware.
Yes, you can. But actually, ultimately, what would happen is, since there are multiple different types of badges being printed, you're going to spend much more money on all those different types of badge stock versus what you would save just by renting minimal devices.
So here you can keep your total inventory lower because it's interchangeable amongst.
Exactly. Less different types of badges and also less waste.
And then again, if you have a need for printing something dynamic in color, whether it be a headshot or some sort of other indicator on the badge, then obviously you
have the capability here as well.
Printer.
Yep.
Anthony, for a customer that's looking to do RFID check-in, what's the best printer to use and the best badge stock?
I'm going to say to stick with the ZC10L. The best badge stock would be this embedded RFID chip on a ZC10L badge stock. It comes with that RFID chip that lives inside. You can pre-print it and actually print that variable data over the badge. And again, you can just kind of tap and go as you please.
So just in terms of the experience for attendees on site, after you check them in, you're going to print their badge, and then the check-in team will just tap it, program the badge, and then they're good to go. If they're doing a session check-in or checking in the next day, they can either use the Socket Mobile as the RFID or NFC reader, or they could also use one of the phone cases. And Anthony, you just mentioned floor stands and kiosks. We talk about the Event Kiosk Pro.
Absolutely. So this here is our Event Kiosk Pro. It's basically a built-in solution, all in one, which has the printer, the iPad, and actually the badge paper all into one brandable unit.
So let's talk about what you mean by brandable.
So everything you see here on the face plate, on the sides here, and this front panel is all brandable with an adhesive sticker that we can put on here. The sky's the limit when it comes to branding. Anything that you want to put on here, such as sponsors, logos, any of the event identity, colors, you name it, we can have that pre-designed and added to the kiosk itself before we actually ship it to you.
This is a great option for folks that are looking to provide self-service check-in via kiosk experience. And is the Event Kiosk Pro available for customers that are ordering the Accelevents Onsite Kit?
Yes, it is. We have it included and ready to go for any customer that's interested.
Anthony, with the Accelevents Onsite Kit, if somebody's ordering the Event Kiosk Pro, can they also order the branding?
Absolutely. You order the branding at the same time that you order the actual event kiosk with us.
Awesome. And if a customer is looking to have the badge stock pre-printed, would they place that order at the same time as well?
You place that order directly with us as well, and we get that, taken care of for you.
Awesome. All right, final question for you. How long do each of these printers actually take to put that badge in my hand?
Okay, so starting over here, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is about 1 to 2 seconds tops.
So that is fast.
That's very fast. This is the fastest that a printer can actually print a badge. And then moving over here, these two are relatively the same. I would say the Epson is about 20 seconds, and the Zebra might take a little bit longer than CC10L. We're talking about 25 to 30.
Awesome. Anthony, there's a lot of hardware that we talked about today. It's a lot of hardware for Choose to Rent to maintain. How do you ensure quality of everything that shows up on site?
So before it actually ships, we test everything rigorously multiple times to make sure that it's up to standards. And when it is on site, in the case that there is some kind of fault with it, we have our support team virtually walk through some troubleshooting steps with the customer. And if for any reason that a piece of equipment is deemed defective, we can deploy a second shipment right away.
Anthony, in this setup, I can see that you've got 2 iPads and 2 printers. Could you do 2 iPads per printer given these print in 1 to 2 seconds?
You actually can. So it's always ideal to have 1-to-1 ratio because it is a bit faster. But if you are trying to kind of save on some of those costs for registration, you can connect 2 iPads directly to one of these Zebras.
Is there a maximum number of iPads that you would connect to a router?
Actually, our rule of thumb is 10 iPads to a router.
Okay.
I mean, you can kind of push a little bit more, but it's not recommended.
Awesome. All right. There's also scenarios where customers want to do RFID check-in. Maybe it's for security, or there could be other reasons why they just prefer RFID. They don't want a QR code to be printed on the badge itself.
Absolutely, yeah.
The options for that. Can you just take us through the Socket mobile device here and the Linear Pro?
Yeah, so the Socket mobile device, what it would do is it would read and write those RFID codes. So once the badge is printed, you would kind of just tap it here and it would write the RFID information onto here, the NFC.
What's your ideal lead time for the order to be placed for any of the hardware for an on-site event?
Ideally 30 days, but even if you have something coming up sooner than that, just give us a call.
What about what about badges that have to be pre-printed?
21 business days is the minimum that we would need to produce those. But as I mentioned earlier, we do make some exceptions if we need to.
And again, we have options where we don't need to do pre-printing.
Absolutely.
So that's always available to us.
Yep.
We've also been on site where hardware is broken. It happens, and we get that. There was an event I was at with you, and I remember you called back to the office here, and somebody got on a plane with the printer that day. Talk to me about how you guys support customers when those things do happen.
So the first thing we do is we just make sure that, that there isn't something that we can actually fix with our support team. Because, things do happen on site where, you run into an issue with the printer and it could be fixed, virtually. But if that's not the case, we do what we have to do, whether that's send an overnight shipment or get someone on a plane to deliver it to you.
Anthony, I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through all the different printer options today. This is a great resource for anybody who is trying to determine what hardware makes the most sense for them. What's the best way for folks to get in contact with you?
You can email me directly at anthony@choosetorent.com or just kind of contact any of your account managers with Accelevents and they'll know exactly how to reach me.